7 o'clock, call meeting to order. Let the roll call show that everybody is here today and stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right, we have an agenda before us. It sounds like 7.3 we can take off the agenda.
Correct, Mr. Mayor.
Anything else? All right, let's take a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed? We have an agenda. Thank you. That brings us to the consent agenda. Is there anything anybody would like to remove from the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye, opposed? Carries. That brings us to open forum. There's a reminder that you need to be present and on time because it's 7:03 and we're halfway through the agenda. So this is your chance to speak to things that are not on the agenda. You're welcome, state your name. We'll kind of limit it to 3 minutes and we're not going to talk about anything that is a legal matter. So with that, welcome.
Hello, I'm Brian Elgren. I'm one of the captains with the police and fire department. You guys have my address. I'm here tonight to ask you council, we've got a ongoing issue with the overbuilding of the Spencer Brook and Wynette Township. We've been dealing with this for several months. I've been asking questions about it for a year. The issue still has not been settled. We took care of 2023 billing, that did get straightened out. 2022 billing has not been straightened out. It's about 10,500 overbilled to Spencer Brook and 13,084 to Wynette Township. And also the truck and equipment fund for Wynette Township was overbilled by $27,330. So I'm asking you council to put it on the agenda and get this issue taken care of. It's been well over a year and the matter still hasn't been settled.
Okay, anybody want to comment? I know that this is an issue and
Yep.
we're working through it. We've had a few things on our plate over the last little bit, so
Yep.
we'll get there.
So,
Anything else? Anybody want to say about that?
thank you.
Yeah, good evening. I'm Ken Murray, Wynette Township, and I want to thank Brian. He's doing the figures and has done a lot of the figuring of the problems with Wynette Township and the billing, Princeton Fire. It has been going on for a long time. I would like to be put on the agenda for every meeting until, I would like somebody to ask at the meetings, is Wynette Township being taken care of? I'm not sure if you don't want us on board, just tell us and say, you know, we don't value as a customer anymore, or take care of us. There's only two things that we're asking for. And I think it's pretty simple. I don't know why it's not being taken care of. But if you would just add us to the agenda and talk about it at the meetings, feel free to call me if you want to. I think I gave my phone number out before, 763-370-3359. If anybody wants to call me. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else?
My name is Lisa Whitkey and I live in the area of Baldwin that is proposed to be annexed to the city of Princeton. And I'm here to address my thoughts and concerns to you guys as being city of Princeton leaders. I've lived in this area for 47 years. I grew up in Blue Hill Township and am now raising my daughters in Baldwin. There's many reasons why a lot of people live in the North Metro. Let's ask ourselves why people live in the city or the country. So why does someone choose to live in the city? Convenience to shopping, entertainment, parks, jobs, bars, socializing out the window to their neighbors. I don't know what draws someone to the city because I've never lived in a city. I've worked in the metro for 30 years and I can't get out of there fast enough after work. The noise, the crowds, the crime. I can't leave my car parked overnight at my work because of the crime. And I work in the very north edge of the metro. I live in the country for so many reasons: the space, the air, the stars, the quiet, the animals, the sounds of the birds during the day and the coyotes at night. Fresh air and fewer people, definitely fewer people. Less traffic, driving my tractor down the road to help a neighbor. I raise cows for my family and I get eggs from my neighbor. We have privacy and we yearn for it. We leave each other alone, but we're there for each other when called upon. We just want to be left alone. Why am I concerned about annexation to the city? Losing what I mentioned above, the things that I love and the dislike for the larger communities. Paying taxes on things I don't need, such as your sidewalks, your street lights, things like that. We're minimalists out there. We want police, fire, and our roads plowed, all of which I get from my county and my state. There's nothing you guys can provide to me that Baldwin doesn't already provide. I'm concerned about your regulations and ordinances on my property. What are you gonna do about my cows? What are you gonna tell me about my horses? What about my dogs that follow me to the barn every night? They're unleashed, they're unlicensed, and they're unfenced, but they follow me. What about my cats who like to be free and hunt, but yet greet me every night in the barn for their dinner? What about target practicing or thinning that coyote herd? Not that I've done it, but I hear it every night in the summer with my windows open. We drive many miles to and from work for this lifestyle. Country life is a way of life. You can't take the country out of the people who live there. You can only force them away. If that's your goal, I pity the future of what this community looks like. Thank you.
As a quick answer to that, the city of Princeton's position is we just oppose the annexation. Incorporation, sorry. The annexation issue is conflated with something else. That's not something that we're interested in doing.
But it's something the judge will be ruling on?
I don't know the answer to that. She may or she may not. But we oppose the incorporation.
Can I say something first?
Sure.
If you should be going to the Baldwin town board, asking them why do they want to incorporate?
I am not opposed to them incorporating. That's
You're gonna
not
be-
what I'm
then you're
opposed to.
gonna
I am
be- then You're
opposed.
gonna be a city, everything you say you don't want to.
No. Baldwin will answer to us residents much more on a local level than what you guys will answer to us for. Becoming a city to us on paper and on a smaller scale is not the larger scale that Princeton is. There is a difference. We have more say in our local community. I guarantee it. I would like to ask you guys, I did not see any rural taxation district on your city site. It might be on there. I couldn't find it. Couldn't find the definition of what you would classify as your rural taxation district. I believe I saw in a Facebook statement that it goes away when you provide any city services to us. So I saw what the state did to Green Acres. I actually don't expect anything less than you guys when it comes to taxation. Your taxes are not family friendly. People that move to a city, they expect to pay some taxes for their role, for all the services that a city as this size provides to them. Baldwin residents haven't budgeted for that, and it's not fair. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you. Jeff Holm, Baldwin Township. I had a question for you guys in regards to your annexation proposed area, your sewer map. It includes my property and my mother's property, so I'm here representing about 70 acres out there in the far southeast reach by the intersection of 305th and 100th Street. And I asked the question on your Facebook page, but I didn't get a response. So I'm here tonight to ask, and I don't expect you to have all the facts and figures for me today, but I would like to get them at some point. And if you were granted the 9,700 plus acres that you were asking for in your 1/3 of Baldwin for annexation, which has been in your in the documents that have been submitted to the judge. So to say you're not asking for annexation, I don't think is completely true here with what the remarks you just made a few minutes ago. But my question would be is, say I would like to develop that land out there. How soon would that trunk line, would that run out there to pass the Baldwin Cemetery out on 38 East, 3/4 of a mile? When could I expect that trunk line to be out there? And how much would that cost to hook into it to develop? And so it's a when and how much? I need that answer. And then in the event that you can't be out there in the next 2 decades, would I be able to then, if I was in the city, subdivide into 2.5 acre parcels with septics and wells? Would you allow that? Or would I be restricted at some point to 1 unit per 40 or 2 units per 40 in a preserve until the sewer is being made available out there? Those are the 2 questions I'd like to ask. And then the other question I have, and I'll yield my time from there, is I've been trying to look through your minutes to figure out where you voted to decide to come up with 9,700 acres, your sewer map area. When did the council vote to say that we should ask the judge to quote, grant us, as it's been put many times, grant us this, which is not, that's not official annexation, but it's kind of this little word game going on that happened in the hearings last week. When did you vote on that? Did it just get decided executively and the actual council never actually went on the record of saying that they would like to annex a large portion of Baldwin? So if you get that back to me, I don't expect you to have the answer off the top of your head, but I'm curious when that took, I haven't found it yet. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Good evening, my name is Carla Mertz. I am a resident of Baldwin Township. We reside at 31548 136th Street on the very northern edge of where your annexation is being proposed. We've spent the last 11 years in Baldwin Township after residing in Zimmerman for 10. We've seen annexation in that township happen and people were not happy. We chose Baldwin in Sherburne County as we wanted to raise our daughter in a rural setting, as well as have property in which we can raise cattle and other livestock as part of our choice of modern homesteading and sourcing our own food. In 2019, we held the first permit as an event location on general rural agricultural property. This was a highly supported decision by the township supervisors and the community. We held several dinners on our farm during the pandemic and educate the Junior Master Gardeners program at the U of M Extension. We bring a presence of rural farming and local foods to America in our small town of Baldwin. We are in support of Baldwin keeping our small towns small. We do not support an annexation in Princeton. We chose Baldwin to reside in, not the city of Princeton. If Princeton annexes us, we would be threatened to lose our farm status, being outsided out by multifamily housing and industrial wishes shown in a comprehensive plan by the city of Princeton. I would go bankrupt having 63 acres split up, my barn torn down, other buildings on my property, and being told I cannot have my animals or my way of life. We moved to Baldwin Township for that for a reason. Taxes would increase exponentially. We do not approve of Princeton's request to annex the northern 1/3 of Baldwin Township. We are content with our septic and well. We just upgraded and installed these in the past 6 years and more recently with an addition on our home to CareKiv for a chronically ill parent. Princeton's statement to offer modern utilities is not essential for us nor the other community leaders. We also have been or remodeling our home in the past 15 years. We do not need to be serviced by water treatment facilities and do not fall in the drinking water zone. We also anticipate keeping our property to accommodate for generational wealth and living for our family. Thank you.
Well,
Yeah, to all the Baldwin people, I'll just reiterate, Princeton just opposes the incorporation request for Baldwin Township. That's our position. All right, let's move on to old business, approved board and commission code of conduct.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we tabled this, item maybe a month ago now, maybe a little longer. Just to make sure that we had some provisions regarding and relating to the use of social media. So that on page 3, it's highlighted in yellow in the packet tonight. And so with that, we would ask that the council consider approving this for use by our board and commission members.
Social media, that's all new then, all new added.
Correct, that's the piece that was added. The previous social media comment in the document referenced the city's personnel manual, but as boards and commission members are appointed and they're not employees of the city, the personnel manual specifically exempts them from the manual being applied to them.
I'll move approval of the commission code of conduct.
I have a motion and a second. Is there more discussion on the code of conduct policy? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? That carries unanimously. All right, moving on, new business. Approved resolution, twice new clothing donation for Age Friendly.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Resolution 24-12 is a resolution accepting a $2,000 donation from Princeton Twice New Clothing to our Age Friendly Princeton group. Twice New has donated generously $11,500 year to date. We're very thankful for that group and thankful for the donation.
Make a motion to approve resolution 24-12.
Motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? I'm just amazed that they just keep going, you know.
And there's your gift.
All right,
They're not done with anything.
hearing no other discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Also carries. Princeton Community Ed request.
Good evening. My name is Brian Jolson, Community Ed Director and Head Baseball Coach. I have a handout I'll pass around. I don't know if I have enough for everybody, but hopefully it has at least some. So I've been working with the Minnesota Twins and Twins Community Fund. It's a Great River Energy grant. And we're looking to bring a youth baseball softball clinic to our community, which would be free for all ages 6 through 12. Originally, I had scheduled this up at our Prince Public Schools middle school fields. And we do have to have a plan for weather, so I do have the middle school reserved. In talking with Stacy and Kim Young, we were thinking that we could partner with the Chamber of the City and Rum River Festival and offer this camp / clinic during the Rum River Festival. We're targeting Friday, June 7th. And the time that kind of looking at that schedule for that day would be from 3 to 5 in the afternoon. We have a lot of great, being on the chamber board myself, we have a lot of great activities that I know that are happening on that day. And we're thinking 3 to 5 would be a great time for this. I did fill out the one in Spirits grants, the cover facility costs, if we could use Mark Park Fields. The Twins recommend that we host one field, 50 kids at a time. So the idea would be we'd be using Mark Park Fields 1, 2, and 3. We'd host up to 150 kids. They register through the Minnesota Twins website. The liability waiver is a part of that process. So they would be doing a waiver on that. And they bring all the equipment. They bring all the people that run the clinic. I'm hoping my staff can be on site to kind of support that. We are also kind of taking the next step, wondering if we could partner with maybe the Splash Park where they could host an event afterwards and kind of make a fun event. The idea would be that we'd be done at 5 o'clock. So those that wanted to do the duck drop could do that. Just another thing to add to Rum River Festival. So I guess I'm here to see if we can partner with the city on this, add this to the Rum River Festival schedule. If not, we're going to still host it at the middle school, but it's a little bit out of sight. And again, it's a free clinic. We've never done it that I believe. It's just a grant that we've started here. This grant has been around for about 64 years. And if we do it well, it could become an annual thing.
So you're asking for the registration fee and just the use of the field, correct?
Correct. Well, the application fee, to be covered, the $50 what the application fee, and then for us to be able to use the Mark Park Fields. It's a Friday afternoon. It's only 2 hours. I don't foresee garbage being too big of a problem, but our staff can help with any garbages. I think we can manage. It's not too much different than 3 games going on, so I don't think we have to have extra porta potties or anything. I think Mark Park facilities can handle those type of things. I don't think we're not gonna have to shut down any streets. I think our parking at Mark Park is just fine.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just mention one thing here, there's actually kind of two, this is a twofold request. They have a wine and spirits grant request, and then they also have a special event request. And part of the special event request is we are partnering with them on the Splash Park.
Okay. I don't know. Seems like a great idea.
I think it's awesome. So you would just be waiving the fee for the Splash Park.
And the field.
Yeah.
And there's not any softball tournaments going on that day?
We have nothing booked according to the clerk.
All right. Guess something's booked.
Yeah.
Well, tentatively, upon the vote, I guess, right?
You know, the only thing would be, obviously, if there's weather, we're gonna be moving it to the middle school building. I have that reserved already. But hopefully it's a nice weather day and we can get outside and do it. And I think if we like it and it's a good partnership, we can certainly look to continue to do this in the future. So the other piece with this, and then we can figure out the logistics. If we wanted to, we can do concessions. We could partner with PYSBA if they wanted to do that, or we could have a food truck up there. It just, the clinic has to be free for all ages 6 to 12.
Any questions?
My only question is, the request to waive the fee, we had another group that wanted us to waive the fee for the Civic Center. Instead, for record keeping, for the grant request money, we have them request that money and then in turn, they give it back to us. Do you remember that?
That was for the school breakfast that
Yes.
happens at the Civic Center.
Yes.
Yep.
So for record keeping purposes and to keep track, is that something you would?
Correct, so Mr. Jolson's application actually, so there's two applications. One is the grant request, which does note the application fee.
Okay.
And then, I don't know if we were able to
I think
success.
I put it on the grant request on the bottom, an approximate field usage for.
I don't think it got on this one.
No, there's no dollar amount in there?
Yeah, there's just the $50 application fee.
Yeah.
Thought it was on the bottom of the wine and spirits. I'm opening it up.
Well,
No, there's nothing. there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think oh, wait a minute.
Yep, there's a note,
Yep, there is. It's very down.
page 74.
Yep, it's under the 74 number. So, yeah, this is Shauna's note though.
$25.
I was estimating at the high, if it was the highest amount of kids, estimating
Yeah.
per teen or,
$5.
yeah.
So the donation would be $425 for a full weekend use, but they're only using 2 hours. So I don't know how we calculate that. I'm looking at people smarter than me.
So they want the fields. And the $50 application fee later.
So what we would do essentially is, and it's a little cumbersome. I think what we had the, school breakfast folks do is they had a certain number. They had the rental fee times 12, which is what we could give them, and then they basically turned around and we actually cut them a check or not, I'm not sure, Karen, but we basically granted them through the grant program the dollar amount. So I don't know I mean, they're obviously not using a full weekend worth of field, so is it,
If you just divided it by 2, just assuming that they're gonna be there granted, the field's only used for 2 hours, coming in, going out. It's still a half a day, just cut it in half and call it 212.
or we could just call
Or
it
200
250.
and then 50 for the application.
Yeah.
Call it 250.
If you're, I'm just rolling.
Yeah. No, but 250 sounds like it would be a reasonable
Yeah.
application of logic.
No, I said, she gave me a cough drop and I forgot to put it in my mouth because I was paying attention to you.
A lot of so.
Oh, it's all flat, baby, it's just a ball field.
All right, so,
Yeah, but we're not gonna.
so we're working out the dollar amount for what the grant is because
Yeah.
$50 is gonna change hands and the rest of it's in-house rental, right?
Yeah, we'll figure out how the money actually moves.
Okay.
So you're gonna essentially move to approve a wine and spirits grant request in the amount of $250.
All right, now
Second.
we're clear.
Second.
Who made the motion?
Jenny?
Okay. Motion made and seconded. Any more discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That was a lot of figuring out stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate the support. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
You need a second motion to approve the special event.
Yep.
Second.
Motion made and seconded for the special event request. Any other questions on that? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, opposed? That carries. And 7.3 is off the agenda, so that moves up to 7.4.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. We have, resolution 24-10, for interim use permit for chickens at 402 Fourth Avenue South. This was already approved by the planning commission and is now on to the city council since it is an interim use.
With a pleasure to approve that because you have pictures of the birds and everything. That was really fantastic.
I know, I was looking for the pictures.
Yeah.
I have one at the coop, but I don't have one. They're big fluffy ones.
Yeah. I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 24-9.
Made in second for an interview permit for James. Any other discussion? All right, and proceeding to vote, all in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed. That carries. And that brings us to a lot split, 706 9th Street.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Resolution 24-11 is a lot split at 706 9th Street for a 3-lot subdivision. There is an existing building on there that will come down, and then there will be 3 single-family homes on each, or there'll be 1 single-family home on each of the lots.
Right. Yeah, this is not a new thing. We've been talking about this for about 6 months too, I think. So.
Make a motion to approve resolution 24-11.
Yeah. Made and seconded. Lot split. Any questions? Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Also carried.
Thank you so much.
All right, brings us to ordinance 850, amendment to chapter 355, sale of cannabinoid products. This is a first reading.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. As if you recall, we approved the cannabis ordinance a while back and had 1 license issued under that new ordinance, and we had another request come in at the last meeting. However, after some due diligence, we realized that some of our distance requirements in here, since we were the original city to adopt an ordinance, were actually not practical for the way that the city is laid out with the malls. So how a distance is measured is from property line to property line, but our malls are obviously longer in nature. And so some of the businesses reside in the middle of the mall. So the property line itself is actually not really a feasible distance measurement point. So what we are proposing to do is only in one of the measurements, we have currently 1,000 feet to a school or a commercial daycare. And we would like to lessen the commercial daycare distance to 300. So it measures, and measure it from door to door. So both of our tobacco shops are able to get approved for their licenses.
So,
Did you have anything more you wanted to add? I'm sorry.
so the existing tobacco shop is Prince Tobacco, correct? Is that the correct name?
Yeah.
So they wouldn't be in compliance with the ordinance the way it was written, the way it is?
Correct. We didn't realize that there was a daycare within 1,000 feet of Prince Tobacco when the license was issued. Because it measures as the crow flies and we don't walk as the crow flies. So when it was issued, unfortunately, it was missed. And so in order for them to be in compliance, the distance does have to be reduced. And in order for the new company to apply, the distance has to be reduced. I did do some research on all the surrounding cities. And actually, there's only 1 city in all of the surrounding cities that even has a distance to daycares. Almost every single ordinance only has a distance to schools. So I think still having a buffer is needed, but I don't think it needs to be 1,000 feet.
So is this daycare a new daycare or is it an older daycare?
I believe it's an older daycare.
Yeah, it's been around for a while.
Is it the one by across from Trinity? Is that the
Yeah.
one we're talking
I
about?
kind of forget it's there all the time.
Yeah, well, if it's, you know,
Where you
especially
can-
the back half of the building, it's right there, so.
And you measure, so just so you understand how it measures, it would actually measure from the front property line of that building to across the road property line of the mall, so it's not really a realistic way to measure distance. But that is how, unless it's specified in your ordinance, that is how ordinances are measured, or distances and ordinances are measured.
And I think Mr. Mayor, members of the council, it's important to remember that. So if we go door to door, right, if we take that main door, you know, it's still that straight line, right? So you're still within a fairly significant, if you then add the walking distance, right? Because obviously, let's use the daycare, for example, they're not gonna go up over the building, go on the roof, come back down, go straight over. If you actually look at a walking distance just via sidewalks, it's even a greater distance on that, in that 300. So, but we're not using that walking, obviously distance, we're using door to door straight line.
Still doing as the crows flies, just from door to door, correct?
Yep.
Not to put words in your mouth with the clarity, but it's easier for you guys to enforce should there ever be an issue.
Yeah, like, I mean, Stacy worded it perfectly. I mean, I think that like the problem with the mall is that if you take that closest property line of the mall property, it puts it extremely close. But if you move it all the way back to that where the store actually is located, it adds obviously a lot more distance to it. So the door to door helps just to make it an easier thing to manage, just from the standpoint of that's obviously where they're gonna enter via the daycare, a school, or for that matter, the store.
What does everybody think?
Yeah.
I do kind of hate the fixing it afterwards to make it fit, but I understand where we're coming from, but.
Mr. Mayor, just to clarify, when we adopted this ordinance, we did a lot of research, like externally, because nobody around us had an ordinance. And then a lot of cities after our ordinance was adopted patterned their ordinance after ours. So we didn't really have a ton of distances to go by. We were just trying to make the best to get an ordinance in place. Now that all these different cities have ordinances, we're actually finding that they are by far the most restrictive.
But, and I'm okay with it. I just don't like the feel
Yeah.
of making it fit after.
State of Minnesota, we're under the gun.
You know. I think I've been in Prince Tobacco one time. So, it's like, I don't have anything, but I just don't like the feel of coming back and fixing the numbers to make it fit in our thing, so. But I'm not gonna vote against it either, so.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 850.
Motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
All right, that's 4-1. All right, that brings us to the bill list.
I move to approve the March 14, 2024 check register containing checks 87-944 to 88031 and EFT items 314-20241 and two in the amount of $369,557.83 in the payroll electronic payments as noted on the pay period 5 transmittal register in the amount of $89,912.73 in pay period 5 check.
Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? That's carried. That brings
Mr. members of the council. So, recruitment and, any assistance there, would be appreciated. We received hopefully written comments to the administrative law judge as well. They can go by mail, email, fax, and are to be received by March 22nd at 4:30 PM. We had training on the software for the building inspection program today. It's a pretty easy software for us to use, so will be used primarily for receiving, payment or noting receipt of payment for over-the-counter permits, and also, if someone calls, we can check on the status of permits relatively easily. So that would be very nice. We can always send calls directly to the contractor, but, we have the ability to, look those up online and see the status of where things are at. We've had some developer meetings, recently. We continue to meet weekly, relating to the fire department, transition. And, there's a list of maintenance items that have been completed in the last couple of weeks. And I think the meetings have been helpful and productive. We had a Great Northern Trails partner meeting in February. Their focus is on grants in Zimmerman and Sherburne County, although there is work on the logo. At least the logo doesn't look like it has Sasquatch in it now. And then as far as the legislature goes, we're still tracking the housing legislation, preemption of local zoning control to promote additional density and affordable housing. Recent changes will require, if it's approved, although I did talk to CGMC today, it sounds like the legislation is slowly losing support. But one of the changes that they made was to include townships as well as cities in the requirement. And then it sounds like we're getting close on the school resource officer legislation change. So that will be good for us. Other than that, Chief Frederick and I met with the superintendent regarding the school resource officers. We'll circle back around again with them in April. So from that, unless someone has questions, that kind of recaps the last 3 weeks.
That's all the reports you have for the last 3 weeks?
Well, I try not to get into the minutia too much, although I did forget to mention Jen Edison, our engineer. She did do a lot of heavy lifting as part of the Baldwin testifying that we did last week. So I did not mean to forget her. So.
All right. Thank you for that. Any questions for Michelle? All right.
Can I mention one thing? Ms. McPherson received an award from the American Legion Tuesday night. Didn't think she would want to talk about it, but
No, I wasn't.
it was a unique award for meritorious service to the community. And as a prize, Randy Hatch and I kind of coordinated it and got her to be there.
If you want to see it hanging on my wall.
Just wanted to express our appreciation to her. for all
Well,
she did.
congratulations.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it was a wonderful event that evening, I think.
Yes, the ambassadors do a great job hosting it and organizing it. It's a wonderful way to recognize all the wonderful volunteers that make this community tick.
It's a room full of top brass, right?
Mhm.
Fantastic.
All right. Is there anything else? Regarding that, then we'll move to our closed session of part of the meeting. So. The agenda item for this meeting is to discuss and consider of an offer to purchase or sell real estate. This portion of the property of the properly noticed meeting of the Princeton City Council to be closed pursuant to Minnesota statute under the real estate sales or purchase exemption to the Minnesota open meeting law pursuant to Minnesota statute section 13D.05 subdivision 3A3. The need for confidentiality outweighs purposes served by the open meeting law. In this case, based on the following, confidentiality is necessary to protect the city's negotiating strength and interest as to real estate negotiations. Purpose of the closed meeting is not to make a decision behind closed doors, but instead to determine what actions are appropriate with respect to the real estate negotiations. The only business to be discussed in this portion of the meeting are the real estate negotiations and what action, if any, should be taken. I will now entertain a motion to close this portion of the meeting. A motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The council will now go into closed session. Time is 7:46. The only officials and consultants of the council who reasonably require access to this data may be in attendance at any portion of this meeting for the agenda item. The minutes of this portion of the meeting should reflect only that a meeting was held with its date, time, and location, who is present at the meeting, and the purpose of the meeting. Members of the council, following the completion of our business, we will now adjourn into open session, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn the closed portion of the meeting and go back into open session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That carries. So brief discussion on what we were talking about in closed session. A parcel of property. We have discussed whether we will accept or deny the offer that was presented to us.
Correct, and the consensus was reached and direction given to staff to move forward.
Okay, so you got committee reports.
I just would like to, public utility, the calendar didn't do it up when we did change the date. Our last meeting, he did his annual year in review report. And I guess I would just encourage the council to look at it if you get a chance. We're very proud of what we do out there, and we did a lot, so a very good overview, not a lot of detail, but just covered many different topics that went across the table. So. And then he was gonna throw our invite up, but I'll do it. Michelle can probably help. The SIMPA and the date was the 23rd of April.
Correct. I actually forwarded, the invitation for member orientation for SIMPA
You were doing Zoom.
at the Omdal Road.
You said something about some people from Mora maybe were coming or something.
Correct.
Cause then I was like, I'd be in Rochester, I believe.
I saw that invitation.
And we have plenty of time, April 23rd. We'll be meeting people.
Yeah.
Just want to throw it out there.
We had a airport meeting, but it was so long ago, I can't remember what was on it.
It was generally updates. We talked a little bit about the, ALP update, the release of parcels. KLJ is working on an exhibit, which they've sent to me now, to try to illustrate for the FAA what we're asking for in addition to the letter that needs to be sent. And, talked a little bit about the tree removal. We have a meet and greet, at the airport, later. I think it's in April. I have to look at the calendar. FAA has new staff, so they're kind of doing the whole tour of the region, see the airport, meet the staff, kind of stuff. And they'll talk a little bit about the capital improvements, budget. Our future capital improvements budget is getting lighter, with the DNR relocating to Cambridge, that apron project's been removed. John sent an email from KLJ saying that our pavements are holding up better than expected. So some of our maintenance is being deferred, pushed out a little bit because of that. But yeah, that's kind of what we talked about, so.
We welcome the November, but a lot of ones that were,
Yes.
that were the worst.
Now we're back where we were, so.
Okay, anybody else? All right, number 9's the next one.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Made second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?